Not all buyers are created equal. We all buy for our own reasons. Each one has a separate backstory of our own, which explains the struggle that we faced with the problem, and that is where we are looking for that solution. It is the responsibility of the salesperson to interact with the customer, to ask him a lot of questions, to understand the problems that they faced, and to provide the exact solution that they are looking for. So today we are going to discuss about the hot buttons in sales. The term hot buttons has been first coined by Brian Tracy in the book of Psychology of Selling. Most of you salesperson have read that book. If you haven't read that book, I would highly recommend you to read that immediately. In my initial sales career, the book Psychology of Selling served as a Bible to me. So what are hot buttons? In other words, according to me, it is a trigger for the sale. The trigger that makes the customer to make that buying decision. In order to identify that trigger, we have to be taking our sales presentation with a lot of questions to make the customer talk more rather than the salesperson talking more. Brian Tracy gives a beautiful example with a story which explains what hot buttons exactly are. So let me give this story to understand, to give you a better perspective of what are hot buttons and how to identify them. So the first step to identify an hot button is to pay close attention to the customer. The story of Brian Tracy goes like this. So he takes an example of this real estate salesman who is showing a young couple a new house. When they pull over the car to stop by the house, the woman notices past the house there was a beautiful flowering cherry tree, and she immediately tells her husband, "Hey Harry, did you notice that cherry tree? I had a similar kind of a flowering cherry tree when I was young, when I was a little girl, and I always wanted to have a cherry tree of my own in my future house as well." And that salesperson there paid enough attention to identify this conversation that she had with her husband, and he noticed this as the hot button that he is going to take. So once they enter, Harry, the husband says that the wallpapers seem quite old. I think the house really needs a repaint. And the salesperson replies with a statement, "Yes, it definitely does. But if you take a look from the larger window from the living room, you'll be able to notice that flowering cherry tree." And there we had a smile in the wife's face. So when it comes to decision making in buying houses, majority of the decisions in buying houses are made by the woman, are made by the wife. So the salesperson knew that, and at the same time he also knew that there he got a hot button from the wife itself. And then they are walking into the kitchen. So once the husband, the Harry, saw the cabinets and all those things, he again gave another problem at the kitchen. So he told that the plumbings are quite old, and it definitely needs a lot of plumbing work. At the same time, the cabinets colors needs to be changed because it was not matching with the wall colors that they had. So if you look at the entire house, it was not exactly matching to their requirements, and it did require a lot of improvements that needs to be done. So when the husband was talking about the kitchen cabinets, the salesperson again popped in and told the wife, "Yes, I understand that it requires a little bit of plumbing work and the change of the colors in the cabinets, but through the window in the kitchen, when you're preparing dinner, if you can look past through the window, there you can find your favorite flowering cherry tree." And there again we had a smile in the wife's face. So they go upstairs, they enter into their bedrooms, and Harry again feels that the bedrooms are quite small. And here comes a salesman again. He tells them that it is a beautiful view to have from the bedroom with the flowering cherry tree they have in the garden. So again we have a smile from the wife's face. Guess what happened there? The sale got closed. Yes. So the reason the sale got closed is not because of the house, because of the requirements that they had which actually did not match with the house itself. So the reason the sale happened there is because of that one flowering cherry tree, and it is because only importantly because of that salesman who was wise enough to identify that as a hot button and use it against every objection that they had against the house. So this is where the sale got happened. Every business, every product, every service has a hot button which can match the backstory of the customer. It is our responsibility as a salesperson to identify that particular hot button which matches the backstory of the customer and help him make the decision of purchase.